Next at 6, a huge issue rolling through the governor's race right now is whether or not to build that high-speed rail line. But the question is, can you stop a train? And News 3's political reporter Jessica Arp sat down with the candidates to find out. Jess.
Well, this question, of course, involves a lot of questions. How would you do it? What are you willing to sacrifice? And just what will the state have done on the project by the time a new governor takes office?
The naysayers said we can't do it. I say, yes, we can.
First off, the federal government does not have $810 million.
Two candidates both adamant that a planned $810 million high-speed rail line is bad for the state. So much so, they're staking their political futures on it.
Just if you say $810 million, if you don't do the train, you got to send it back. I said I'm willing to do that because the operating costs are $10 million per year at minimum.
Operating costs and better uses for the money are among the chief concerns of both Scott Walker and Mark Newman, who both say the actual contracts for rail will allow them to stop the project.
The same thing that you do in business. You get your hands on the contract, you read the contract specifically, look for the clauses in there and what the out clauses are in the contract. That is what a mutual termination agreement is in the contract. And then you exercise the mutual termination agreement.
How do you balance a budget? Where do you find money
we would
back?
pay that with the money that was given, send the rest back, and negotiate with the federal government to say, we're sending this money back, we can't afford to operate it, we're not going to take it from other road projects, and if all else failed, go to our congressional delegation from Wisconsin to ask them to fix it for us.
But if the state cancels the contract, what could it cost? The Department of Transportation Secretary estimates about $300 million might be obligated, an unknown amount actually spent, which could make canceling contracts dicey for the state budget.
It could be very expensive, yes.
Is that the case?
It could be. It could be very expensive for the state, and it you know, in a number of ways. You know, the amount of money that's spent, plus the jobs.
Jobs are another issue, as the state can't say how many people might already be working. How many people do you actually expect could be on the job working on this project by January when someone would take office?
But again, we're not talking about by January. We're talking about throughout the term of this project. If they're talking about canceling this project, they will have eliminated 5,500 good-paying jobs. That's what I'm saying.
On the jobs point, the candidates say redirecting the money would create the jobs the state needs. And Walker says he would divert that money to roads and bridges. Newman to tax cuts for the state. But both of those promises rely on a change made by Congress, the chances of which are questionable, although there is an election season coming up, so we'll see who might be in power by then.
And Tom Barrett is standing by the rail proposal at this point in time?
He is at this point, even though there are some questions about the operating costs.
And they're going to turn down $823 million because each year you have to have an $8 million match? That's 1%. It's less than 1% match.
Barrett, who is on For the Record this weekend, does believe the line will create jobs and economic growth. Now, as far as those state contracts go, we did request those rail contracts from the DOT to review the out clauses to check them ourselves, but they were not able to provide those contracts to us by our deadline.
All right, News 3's Jessica Arp reporting. Jess, thank you very much.